The rain fell in a steady rhythm against the cracked windows of the university library, where Ethan sat hunched over an ancient tome. The dim light from the overhead lamp cast long shadows across his desk, illuminating the intricate alien symbols that danced across the yellowed pages. He had always been drawn to the mysteries of the cosmos, spending countless nights poring over texts about distant galaxies and forgotten civilizations. It wasn't just academic curiosity. There was something deeper, almost primal, that pulled him toward the stars. Ethan's fascination with extraterrestrial life began when he was just a child, staring up at the night sky from his bedroom window. His parents were practical people, his father a mechanic and his mother a school teacher, but they never discouraged his dreams. Instead, they nurtured his interest by gifting him books on astronomy and taking him to planetarium shows. As he grew older, this childhood wonder evolved into a serious pursuit of knowledge. Now, as a graduate student specializing in xenolinguistics, Ethan found himself surrounded by theories and legends that most dismissed as mere science fiction. The library, with its musty scent and towering shelves, became his sanctuary. Each book held potential secrets waiting to be unlocked, each page a possible gateway to understanding beings beyond human comprehension. Tonight, however, he felt particularly restless. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil within him, a growing unease that perhaps his studies would forever remain theoretical. Despite his dedication, tangible proof of intelligent alien life seemed perpetually out of reach. As he flipped through another volume filled with cryptic star charts and celestial navigation techniques, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Not just for his thesis deadline but for humanity itself. What if Earth wasn't alone? What if other civilizations were watching, waiting for humans to prove their worth? These thoughts swirled in his mind like the storm clouds gathering outside, darkening his mood further. A sudden gust of wind rattled the old window panes, causing Ethan to glance up sharply. Through the streaked glass, he caught sight of movement in the courtyard below. At first, it appeared to be nothing more than leaves swirling in the wind, but then he saw it, a flash of iridescent light that shouldn't have been there. His heart quickened as he stood abruptly, knocking over his chair in the process. Could it be? Was this finally the moment all his research would bear fruit? Without hesitation, Ethan grabbed his coat and dashed out into the storm. The cold rain soaked through his clothes almost instantly, but he barely noticed. His eyes scanned the darkened grounds, searching for any sign of what he had seen. As he approached the source of the disturbance, he realized it wasn't merely some trick of the light or a product of his overactive imagination. There, partially concealed beneath a massive oak tree, lay a figure unlike anything he had ever encountered before. The being before him was both beautiful and terrifying, radiating an aura that defied description. Her skin shimmered like liquid mercury under the moonlight, reflecting every hue imaginable. Long tendrils of silvery hair cascaded down her back, moving as though alive, responding to invisible currents in the air. Her eyes, large and luminous, glowed with an inner light that pierced through the darkness, making Ethan feel simultaneously exposed and understood. He took a hesitant step forward, his academic training struggling to make sense of the surreal scene unfolding before him. "Are you real?" he whispered, half expecting the vision to vanish like mist in sunlight. Instead, she extended one graceful arm towards him, revealing delicate fingers tipped with crystalline nails that sparkled even in the dim light. Her voice, when she finally spoke, resonated deep within his chest, bypassing his ears entirely. It carried the weight of ages, yet possessed a melodic quality that soothed his racing heart. "I am Alara," she communicated, not in words but in pure thought, bypassing language barriers entirely. "Princess of Zentrix." Ethan staggered back, nearly losing his footing on the wet grass. All his years of study hadn't prepared him for this moment. Here stood undeniable proof of extraterrestrial life, not as some distant concept but as a living, breathing entity reaching out to him. His mind raced with questions. Why was she here? How did she find Earth? And why him? Before he could form coherent thoughts, let alone ask any questions, Alara's expression shifted from serene to urgent. She pressed a translucent hand against her side, and Ethan noticed for the first time the jagged wound marring her otherwise flawless form. A dark substance oozed from the injury, neither blood nor oil, but something entirely alien. Panic surged through him as he realized she was hurt, perhaps gravely. "I need your help," Alara projected, her mental voice tinged with desperation. "They are coming for me." "Who's coming?" Ethan managed to choke out, already moving closer despite his fear. Whatever danger she faced, it clearly wasn't safe for either of them to remain outdoors. "My pursuers," she explained, her glowing eyes darting nervously toward the surrounding buildings. "Traitors from my own court. They seek to prevent our alliance with Earth." Alliance. The word echoed in Ethan's mind, sparking a mixture of excitement and dread. If what she said was true, then everything he had studied might actually matter on a galactic scale. But how could he possibly protect someone like her? He was just a student, armed with nothing but knowledge and determination. Illyra must have sensed his internal conflict because she reached out again, this time placing her cool hand gently on his forearm. The contact sent electric shivers through his body, grounding him in the reality of the situation. "You are chosen," she stated firmly. "Your studies have prepared you for this moment. Trust in yourself, Ethan." Hearing his name spoken, or rather thought, by her solidified the surreal nature of their encounter. No longer could he deny that this was happening, that his life was intersecting with forces far greater than he had ever imagined. Swallowing hard, he nodded resolutely. "Let's get you inside," he decided, leading her cautiously toward the library entrance. As they moved through the deserted halls, Ethan couldn't help but marvel at how seamlessly Illyra blended into the shadows despite her otherworldly appearance. Her presence seemed to bend reality around her, creating distortions that made her difficult to focus on directly. It was as if she existed slightly out of phase with their world, a visitor from another dimension temporarily anchored here. Once safely ensconced in the privacy of the restricted archives room, Ethan locked the door behind them and turned to assess Illyra's injuries. The wound appeared more severe up close, pulsating faintly with an ominous glow. "What can I do?" he asked, feeling utterly inadequate despite his extensive research. She gestured weakly toward a nearby shelf. "Among your texts lies knowledge of healing. Find it quickly." Scanning the titles desperately, Ethan's hands trembled as he pulled volumes from the shelves. Time seemed to stretch impossibly thin as he searched for anything remotely related to alien physiology or emergency medical procedures. Finally, buried between two dusty tomes on interstellar diplomacy, he found a slim manual titled Advanced Xenobiology Techniques. Flipping through the pages frantically, he discovered a section on treating non-humanoid injuries using bioresonance frequencies. Following the instructions as best he could, Ethan retrieved a small portable device from the library's tech lab, a frequency generator used primarily for archival restoration purposes. Adjusting the settings according to the manual, he carefully applied the oscillating waves to Illyra's wound. To his astonishment, the dark substance began to recede, replaced by a soft silver glow that matched her natural luminescence. Illyra sighed in relief, her posture relaxing slightly. "You have done well," she acknowledged, her mental voice steadier now. "But we cannot linger. My enemies will not give up easily." Ethan nodded grimly, realizing that his role in this cosmic drama was only beginning. Helping Illyra heal was just the first step. Protecting her, and potentially Earth itself, would require everything he had learned and more. As they prepared to leave the library, he felt a strange mixture of terror and exhilaration coursing through his veins. This was no longer just a student's fantasy, it was his reality, and there was no turning back. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on Ethan's shoulders as he and Illyra navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the university library. Every shadow seemed darker, every sound louder, as if the building itself had become aware of their presence and their peril. His heart pounded in his chest, not just from adrenaline but from the realization that his actions could shape the fate of two worlds. With each careful step, he struggled to reconcile his scholarly background with the immediate demands of protecting a wounded alien princess. Illyra moved with surprising grace despite her injury, her movements fluid and deliberate. Occasionally, she would pause, tilting her head as if listening to whispers only she could hear. Each time, her expression would grow more troubled, her luminous eyes clouding with concern. "They draw nearer," she would project, her mental voice tinged with urgency. "We must find better concealment." Their search for safety led them to the ancient observatory tower perched atop the science building. The structure, rarely used since digital telescopes had rendered traditional observation methods obsolete, offered seclusion and a vantage point to monitor the surrounding area. As they ascended the spiral staircase, Ethan marveled at how perfectly the architecture aligned with celestial patterns, an unintentional homage to the very stars that had brought Ilara to Earth. Reaching the top, Ethan secured the heavy wooden door behind them before helping Ilara settle near one of the antique telescopes. Through the domed ceiling's opening, they watched as storm clouds parted momentarily, revealing a tapestry of stars above. For the first time since their meeting, Ilara seemed to relax, her ethereal form blending with the celestial display. "Your world understands balance," she observed softly, her voice carrying a note of appreciation. "Even in chaos, there is harmony." Ethan joined her gaze upward, feeling a connection to both the universe and the extraordinary being beside him. "We've always looked to the stars," he admitted, "searching for answers, for meaning. But I never imagined." His voice trailed off, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what was unfolding. "You carry the knowledge of many lifetimes within you," Ilara responded, turning her luminous eyes upon him. "Your studies have prepared you for this moment, though you may not realize it yet." Her words stirred something deep within Ethan, a sense of purpose he had never fully embraced until now. As hours passed in tense vigilance, Ilara began sharing fragments of her story. Her home planet, Zentrix, was embroiled in political turmoil following the discovery of Earth's emerging technological capabilities. Some factions within her court viewed humanity as a threat to be neutralized, while others, including her father the king, sought peaceful coexistence. Ilara's mission had been to establish initial contact and begin diplomatic relations, but traitorous elements within her government had sabotaged her journey, leaving her stranded and injured. Listening intently, Ethan pieced together the gravity of their situation. Protecting Ilara wasn't just about safeguarding one life, it was about preserving the fragile hope of intergalactic peace. The burden felt immense, yet strangely liberating. For years, he had pursued knowledge in isolation, content to observe from afar. Now, he found himself thrust into a narrative larger than anything he had studied, his decisions potentially altering the course of history. When morning light began filtering through the observatory dome, casting golden rays across Ilara's shimmering form, Ethan realized they couldn't stay hidden indefinitely. Resources were limited, and her enemies likely possessed technology far superior to anything available on Earth. Yet as he watched Ilara trace constellations with her finger, explaining their significance in Zentrixian culture, he recognized that their bond transcended mere survival. Together, they represented the bridge between two civilizations, the embodiment of hope in a universe often divided by fear and misunderstanding. "We need allies," Ethan declared suddenly, breaking the contemplative silence. "People who understand what's at stake, who can help us protect you and facilitate contact between our worlds." Ilara regarded him thoughtfully, her expression a mixture of gratitude and caution. "Trust is a rare commodity among my kind," she warned. "And among yours?" Ethan hesitated, considering the implications. The academic community might embrace Ilara's arrival as a breakthrough, but governments and military organizations would undoubtedly view her presence differently. Secrecy might buy them time, but ultimately, they needed powerful supporters who understood the importance of peaceful first contact. The challenge lay in finding such individuals without exposing Ilara to greater danger. As dawn broke fully, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Ethan knew their next steps would determine not just Ilara's fate, but potentially the future relationship between Earth and Zentrix. The boy who had once dreamed of the stars now found himself navigating a path that connected them to his very doorstep, carrying the weight of two worlds on his shoulders. The quiet intensity of the observatory gave way to a cacophony of voices as Ethan and Ilara descended into the bustling university campus. Students hurried between classes, oblivious to the cosmic drama unfolding in their midst. Ethan felt a pang of guilt as he realized how dramatically his priorities had shifted overnight. Just yesterday, he had been worried about midterms and thesis deadlines. Today, he bore the responsibility of protecting an alien princess while navigating complex intergalactic politics. Ilara's presence, though carefully concealed beneath a borrowed cloak, seemed to ripple through the fabric of reality around them. People paused mid-step, glancing around as if sensing something extraordinary nearby. Ethan noticed these subtle reactions, understanding that Ilara's energy field likely affected the environment in ways beyond human perception. The challenge of maintaining her disguise while ensuring her safety weighed heavily on his mind. Their first destination was Dr. Margaret Chen's office, tucked away in the physics department. Dr. Chen had been Ethan's advisor since his undergraduate years, known for her groundbreaking work in quantum mechanics and her open-minded approach to theoretical possibilities. More importantly, she had always encouraged Ethan's interest in xenolinguistics, even when others dismissed it as impractical. Standing before her door, Ethan hesitated, wondering how to explain the impossible situation awaiting revelation. Dr. Chen's warm smile faltered slightly as she took in Ethan's disheveled appearance and the mysterious figure standing slightly behind him. "Ethan, what brings you here so early?" she asked, her sharp eyes noting details that escaped casual observation. Before he could respond, Ilara stepped forward, lowering her hood slightly to reveal her otherworldly features. The transformation in Dr. Chen's expression was remarkable. Surprise quickly gave way to scientific fascination, followed by a profound sense of awe. "My goodness," she breathed, adjusting her glasses as if to confirm what she was seeing. "This changes everything." Over the next hour, Ilara shared her story with Dr. Chen, who listened intently, occasionally interrupting with astute questions that demonstrated her deep understanding of theoretical physics and astrobiology. The older scientist's calm acceptance helped ground Ethan, reminding him of the intellectual rigor required to process such extraordinary circumstances. Dr. Chen's analytical mind quickly grasped the strategic importance of Ilara's mission and the dangers posed by her pursuers. "We need to assemble a team," Dr. Chen suggested thoughtfully, pacing her office as she processed the implications. "People who can maintain discretion while providing necessary support. Professor Ramirez from astrophysics, he's worked on SETI projects for years. And Dr. Patel from the computer science department, her encryption algorithms are unmatched." Ethan nodded, feeling a flicker of hope. The idea of building a network of trusted allies excited him, transforming his anxiety into purposeful action. However, Ilara's expression remained guarded. "Not everyone can be trusted," she cautioned. "Even among those who mean well, information can slip through cracks." Dr. Chen acknowledged the warning with a solemn nod. "Then we proceed carefully. We'll establish secure communication channels and implement protocols to minimize risk. But we must act quickly, your pursuers won't wait." As they discussed strategy, Ethan noticed how naturally Ilara adapted to human customs and conversation styles. Her ability to communicate telepathically proved invaluable, allowing her to convey complex ideas instantaneously while maintaining verbal dialogue. Watching her interact with Dr. Chen, Ethan realized how much he still had to learn about her species and their capabilities. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen's mind worked rapidly, connecting dots that had previously seemed unrelated. "There have been anomalies in satellite data recently," she mused aloud. "Unexplained energy signatures appearing in various locations around the globe. Could these be your pursuers?" Ilara's expression darkened. "It's possible. Their technology allows them to mask their presence effectively, but sometimes traces remain. We need to identify these patterns and predict their movements." The conversation shifted to practical matters, establishing safe houses, developing countermeasures against advanced alien technology, and planning contingencies for various scenarios. Ethan found himself contributing insights from his xenolinguistic studies, suggesting ways to interpret and potentially counteract hostile communications. Each suggestion strengthened their collective resolve, transforming fear into focused determination. However, as the afternoon wore on, reality intruded upon their planning session. A sudden power fluctuation rippled through the building, causing lights to flicker and computers to reboot unexpectedly. Ilara stiffened immediately, her heightened senses detecting something beyond normal electrical disturbances. "They're here," she projected urgently, her mental voice carrying an edge of alarm. Dr. Chen reacted swiftly, activating emergency protocols she had established during Cold War-era research projects. Secure shutters descended over the office windows, while automated systems wiped sensitive data from connected devices. Ethan helped Ilara retreat to a hidden alcove behind bookshelves, his heart pounding as he realized their preparations might already be too late. Through the office's reinforced walls, they heard faint vibrations, subtle enough to go unnoticed by ordinary humans but unmistakable to Ilara's enhanced perception. "Cloaking fields," she explained tensely. "They're attempting to locate me through energy resonance." Dr. Chen joined them in the alcove, her usually composed demeanor showing signs of strain. "We need to move," she urged. There's a sub-basement access that leads to the old steam tunnels. From there, we can reach multiple exit points. As they prepared to evacuate, Ethan felt a surge of determination mingled with fear. Their situation had escalated from theoretical crisis management to immediate survival tactics. Yet amidst the tension, he experienced a profound sense of belonging. To this moment, to these people, to the unfolding drama that demanded everything he had to offer. Guided by Dr. Chen's intimate knowledge of the university's infrastructure, they navigated through maintenance corridors and service elevators, avoiding main thoroughfares where their pursuers might detect them. Ilera moved with practiced stealth, her alien physiology adapting seamlessly to human environments. Ethan marveled at her resilience, considering her recent injury, and felt a renewed commitment to their shared mission. Reaching the steam tunnels, they paused briefly to catch their breath and assess their options. The damp, echoing passages stretched in multiple directions, offering both opportunities for escape and potential traps. Dr. Chen consulted a weathered blueprint while Ilera closed her eyes, extending her consciousness outward to scan for threats. Ethan stood watch at the tunnel entrance, acutely aware of how much depended on their next decision. "We'll split up," Dr. Chen decided firmly. "I'll create a diversion through the North Passage while you two take the southern route. Meet at the safe house coordinates I provided earlier." Ilera's luminous eyes met Ethan's, communicating volumes without words. In that moment, he understood that their connection transcended mere circumstance. They were becoming something more, partners bound by destiny and mutual trust. As they prepared to separate from Dr. Chen, Ethan felt the weight of their shared purpose settling into place, transforming uncertainty into unwavering resolve. The steam tunnels stretched endlessly before them, their ancient brickwork slick with condensation and age. Ethan and Ilera moved with cautious precision, their footsteps muffled by decades of accumulated grime. The air grew heavier with each passing minute, laden with a metallic tang of rust and the faint hum of distant machinery. Above them, the university bustled with oblivious activity, while below, their every movement carried the weight of cosmic consequence. Ilera's heightened senses served as their early warning system, detecting shifts in air pressure and subtle vibrations that signaled potential threats. Her iridescent form seemed to absorb and refract the dim light filtering through great covered openings, creating an ethereal dance of colors along the tunnel walls. Ethan found himself frequently glancing at her profile, marveling at how seamlessly she balanced vulnerability and strength, royalty and resilience. "Tell me about your world," Ethan ventured softly, hoping to distract them both from the oppressive atmosphere. "What's Zentrix like?" Ilera's lips curved into a wistful smile as she projected images directly into his mind. Towering crystal spires that refracted sunlight into permanent rainbows, floating gardens tended by creatures with bioluminescent feathers, and vast oceans that sang with harmonic resonance. "Our civilization has evolved beyond physical limitations," she explained. "Energy and consciousness intertwine, allowing us to manipulate matter and traverse dimensions. Yet for all our advancements, we struggle with divisions similar to those on Earth." The mental transmission of her homeland left Ethan awestruck, his mind struggling to contain the sensory overload. He felt as though he'd glimpsed heaven itself, yet understood the underlying complexity of such evolution. "Do all Zentrixians possess abilities like yours?" he asked, watching as she effortlessly repaired a damaged section of tunnel wall with a wave of her hand. "Some do," she replied. "Others choose different paths of development. Our society values individual growth alongside collective progress. That's why my father supported contact with Earth. We see great potential in your species' emotional depth and creative spirit." Ethan absorbed this revelation, feeling both honored and humbled by the faith placed in humanity. "Yet some in your court oppose this vision," he observed, recalling her earlier warnings about traitors. Ilera's expression darkened. "Fear often manifests as aggression. Those who resist change believe Earth's emergence threatens Zentrix's dominance. They fail to understand that true strength lies in unity, not superiority." Their conversation paused as they reached a junction where 3 tunnels diverged. Ilera extended her awareness, seeking guidance from the subtle energies permeating the space. "Southwest Passage," she decided after a moment. "The resonance feels clearer there." As they proceeded, Ethan reflected on how profoundly his perspective had shifted in such a short time. Yesterday, he had been an isolated academic pursuing knowledge for its own sake. Today, He walked alongside an alien princess while contemplating the interconnectedness of civilizations. The weight of responsibility pressed upon him, yet he found unexpected comfort in Alara's presence. "Do you ever doubt your path?" he asked suddenly, voicing a question that had lingered at the edges of his thoughts. "Knowing how much depends on your success." Alara stopped, turning to face him with an intensity that made his breath catch. "Doubt is a constant companion," she admitted. "But it serves as a reminder to remain vigilant, to question assumptions, and to value every ally gained along the way." Her luminous eyes softened. "Like you, Ethan. You embody Earth's greatest qualities: curiosity, courage, and compassion. That gives me hope." The sincerity in her projection resonated deeply within him, strengthening his resolve. They continued onward, their bond growing stronger with each shared moment. The tunnels gradually widened, revealing evidence of more recent construction. Fiber optic cables snaked along the walls, and ventilation shafts periodically punctuated the ceiling. Modernity encroached upon antiquity, mirroring the collision of worlds they now navigated. Suddenly, Alara froze, her entire body tensing like a coiled spring. Ethan felt the change in air pressure a split second before hearing the faint hum of approaching energy signatures. "They've found us," she projected urgently. "Prepare to run." Without hesitation, Ethan gripped her hand, drawing strength from their connection. The temperature dropped noticeably as icy tendrils of alien technology probed the tunnel ahead. Alara's free hand began to glow, forming a protective barrier around them. "When I say now, we move," she instructed. "Trust my lead completely." Ethan nodded, his heart pounding in anticipation. The hum grew louder, accompanied by distorted reflections that warped the tunnel walls. Shadows danced unnaturally, signaling the proximity of their pursuers. Alara's grip tightened fractionally. "Now!" They burst into motion, sprinting through the narrow passage as Alara unleashed a pulse of energy that temporarily disrupted the hostile technology. The tunnel erupted in flashes of light and deafening reverberations as their pursuers attempted to compensate. Ethan's lungs burned with exertion, but he pushed forward, driven by Alara's unwavering determination. Rounding a corner, they encountered a ladder leading upward to street level. Without pausing, Alara scaled it with supernatural agility, her injured side miraculously healed. Ethan followed closely, emerging into the bright daylight of a quiet alleyway. The contrast between the claustrophobic tunnels and open air was disorienting, but Alara wasted no time orienting herself. "This way," she directed, pulling him toward a nearby parking garage. "We need to reach higher ground." Their dash through the concrete maze became a blur of motion and adrenaline. Ethan's academic life seemed impossibly distant as he adapted to this new reality, where survival depended on split-second decisions and absolute trust. When they finally reached the rooftop, overlooking the sprawling university campus, Alara collapsed against a ventilation unit, her energy visibly depleted. "We can't keep running forever," Ethan panted, scanning the horizon for signs of pursuit. The cityscape stretched endlessly before them, a testament to human achievement that now seemed intimately connected to the stars above. Alara's response came as a gentle mental caress. "Running isn't the answer. We need to confront them, but on our terms." She straightened, her regal bearing returning as she surveyed their surroundings. "And I know exactly where to make our stand." In that moment, Ethan understood that their journey had evolved beyond mere survival. They were preparing for something greater, a confrontation that would test not just their abilities, but the very principles they fought to uphold. As Alara outlined her plan, her confidence reigniting his own, Ethan felt the pieces falling into place. The student who had once dreamed of the stars now stood ready to defend them, alongside a princess who had shown him the infinite possibilities of courage and connection. The rooftop offered a panoramic view of the city, its skyscrapers piercing the evening sky like modern-day monoliths. Ethan watched as Alara traced patterns in the air with her fingers, weaving strands of light that formed intricate geometric shapes. The symbols pulsed with energy, creating a temporary shield that masked their presence from prying eyes, both human and alien. Below, the university buzzed with end-of-day activity, students streaming out of buildings unaware of the cosmic drama unfolding above their heads. "We need to establish a secure base of operations," Alara explained, her mental voice carrying a tone of command that Ethan hadn't heard before. Somewhere we can coordinate our efforts while remaining hidden from my pursuers. She pointed toward the downtown skyline. That building, the old observatory tower, it holds residual energy from centuries of astronomical observation. Its foundations align with celestial patterns that can amplify protective fields. Ethan followed her gaze, recognizing the structure from his previous studies. Built during the height of the space race, the observatory had fallen into disuse as technology advanced beyond its capabilities. Yet its historical significance and unique architectural design made it an ideal location for their purposes. "I know a way in," he offered, recalling maintenance tunnels that connected various university facilities. "Few people are aware of them." As they prepared to descend, Ilera paused, her luminous eyes locking onto his. "There's something you need to understand, Ethan," she projected, her mental voice softer now. "Protecting me isn't just about preserving one life. My presence here represents a pivotal moment in intergalactic relations. Success could mean unprecedented cooperation between our species, while failure—" She didn't need to finish the thought. Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of her words settle into his core. "I understand," he replied sincerely. "But you're not alone in this. We'll face whatever comes next together." The conviction in his voice surprised even himself, born from days of shared adversity and growing trust. Their descent through the maintenance tunnels proved more challenging than anticipated. While avoiding detection, they encountered several obstacles: locked access points requiring improvisation, sections flooded from recent rains, and security drones programmed to patrol sensitive areas. Each hurdle strengthened their partnership, as Ethan's knowledge of the university's infrastructure complemented Ilera's alien abilities. Reaching the observatory's basement level, they discovered an unexpected complication. The building's power systems had been upgraded recently, incorporating cutting-edge quantum processors that interfered with Ilera's energy fields. "These frequencies disrupt my natural resonance," she explained, visibly straining against the technological interference. "We need to recalibrate the system parameters." Drawing upon his studies in xenobiology and quantum mechanics, Ethan worked methodically to adjust the equipment. Hours passed as he and Ilera collaborated, combining human ingenuity with alien insight. The process revealed fascinating parallels between their respective technologies, how both civilizations had independently arrived at similar solutions through different evolutionary paths. As they finished reconfiguring the systems, Ethan couldn't help but marvel at how their differences complemented each other. Where his approach relied on systematic analysis and incremental adjustments, Ilera operated through intuitive manipulation of energy flows. Together, they achieved results neither could have accomplished alone. The observatory transformed into their command center, its vintage equipment repurposed for their needs. Ilera created holographic displays that visualized complex data in ways that made advanced astrophysical concepts accessible. Ethan organized their resources, establishing communication protocols and contingency plans. They set up monitoring stations to track both terrestrial and extraterrestrial activities, creating a comprehensive surveillance network. Their efforts attracted attention, not just from Ilera's pursuers, but from curious students and faculty members who noticed unusual energy readings emanating from the supposedly abandoned building. Carefully orchestrating misinformation campaigns, they planted plausible explanations while discreetly recruiting trustworthy allies. Dr. Chen proved instrumental in this regard, leveraging her academic connections to gather support while maintaining plausible deniability. Through it all, Ethan found himself changing in fundamental ways. The solitary scholar who had once preferred the company of books to people now thrived in collaborative problem-solving. His interactions with Ilera challenged his perceptions, forcing him to reconcile theoretical knowledge with practical application. Each success boosted his confidence, while each setback taught valuable lessons about adaptability and perseverance. Ilera, too, underwent transformation. Initially reserved and formal in her interactions, she gradually opened up, sharing stories of her childhood on Zentrix and her hopes for interstellar diplomacy. Her laughter, when it came, illuminated the observatory like captured starlight. Ethan discovered depths to her character that transcended royal protocol. Her compassion for others, her genuine curiosity about Earth culture, and her vulnerability when discussing her family's expectations. Their shared experiences forged a bond that defied simple categorization. It wasn't romance in the conventional sense, nor purely professional partnership. Rather, it emerged as something unique, a connection that bridged species, cultures, and dimensions. Through their collaboration, they developed a shared language that combined human emotion with alien resonance, creating a new form of communication that transcended words. As days turned into weeks, their operation expanded beyond mere survival. They began documenting every aspect of their interaction: the biological effects of prolonged exposure to alien energy fields, the psychological impact of interspecies communication, and the socio-political implications of first contact. These records would prove invaluable if they succeeded in establishing official relations between Earth and Xentrix. Yet despite their progress, tension mounted as they detected increasing activity from Alera's pursuers. The enemy's technology grew more sophisticated, adapting to their countermeasures with alarming speed. Each encounter left them with less time to recover, forcing them to push their limits further. Ethan witnessed firsthand the toll this took on Alera, whose normally radiant form sometimes dulled with exhaustion. One evening, as they reviewed sensor data showing multiple hostile signatures converging on their position, Alera turned to Ethan with an expression he hadn't seen before, a mixture of determination and something akin to fear. "The final confrontation approaches," she projected, her mental voice carrying an uncharacteristic tremor. "We must prepare for battle on multiple fronts." Ethan felt his stomach tighten, knowing what she implied. Their preparations had always been leading to this moment, the ultimate test of their resolve, their strategies, and their trust in each other. As he met her luminous gaze, he understood that their partnership had evolved into something greater than either had anticipated. They weren't just fighting for survival or diplomatic relations anymore. They were defending the possibility of understanding itself. Together, they finalized their plans, knowing that the coming days would demand everything they had built together. The observatory, once a relic of human ambition, now stood as a beacon of interspecies cooperation, a testament to what could be achieved when different worlds aligned for a common purpose. As they worked side by side, Ethan realized that their story had grown far beyond personal stakes. It had become a chapter in the ongoing narrative of cosmic connection, written in the language of courage, trust, and shared destiny. The observatory's ancient mechanisms whirred to life as Ethan and Alera synchronized their preparations for the impending confrontation. Star charts projected across the domed ceiling merged with holographic displays of enemy movements, creating a celestial map that pulsed with urgency. Each blinking indicator represented not just a tactical position but a decision point, a moment where choices would ripple across dimensions. Ethan's fingers flew across control panels, integrating human and alien technology in ways that defied conventional understanding. Alera moved with purposeful grace, her form shimmering with increasing intensity as she channeled energy from the aligned stars above. The observatory's foundations, tuned to celestial harmonics, amplified her abilities while masking their signature from hostile sensors. Yet despite their advanced preparations, Ethan couldn't ignore the mounting pressure, the knowledge that their actions would determine not just their immediate survival but the trajectory of intergalactic relations for generations to come. Their approach patterns suggest a coordinated assault, Alera projected, her mental voice layered with calculations and probabilities. 3 primary vectors, each exploiting different dimensional frequencies. She manipulated the holographic displays, illustrating how their pursuers intended to breach protective fields from multiple angles simultaneously. Ethan's analytical mind processed the information, cross-referencing it with Earth's historical military strategies. "We need to create overlapping defense zones," he suggested, already implementing modifications to their shielding protocols. "Layered frequencies that force them to divide their resources while we concentrate ours." As they refined their defensive measures, the observatory transformed into a fortress of light and energy. Ancient telescopes hummed with repurposed power, their lenses now serving as focusing arrays for protective fields. Computer systems, once dedicated to cataloging distant galaxies, now monitored immediate threats while coordinating automated countermeasures. The fusion of human engineering and alien technology created something entirely new, a hybrid defense system that drew strength from both civilizations' unique capabilities. Their preparations extended beyond physical defenses. Alera guided Ethan through meditation techniques that aligned his consciousness with her energy fields, creating a psychic link that allowed instantaneous communication and coordination. This mental connection proved invaluable as they simulated various attack scenarios, testing their responses and refining their strategies. With each exercise, their synchronization improved, until their thoughts flowed between them as naturally as breathing. However, The strain of maintaining this level of preparation began to show. Illyra's normally radiant form sometimes flickered with fatigue, while Ethan's human limitations forced him to rely increasingly on stimulants to maintain alertness. During brief moments of rest, they found solace in each other's company, sharing stories that bridged their cultural differences. Illyra introduced Ethan to Zentriction art forms that existed purely as energy patterns, while he showed her Earth's classical music, explaining how composers had sought to capture the essence of the cosmos in sound. These interludes of connection became crucial anchors amid the escalating tension. They reminded Ethan that beyond the tactical considerations and technological challenges lay something fundamentally human, and perhaps universally significant: the desire to understand and be understood. Illyra's presence had transformed his academic curiosity into lived experience, while his grounded perspective helped her navigate the complexities of human emotions. As the final preparations neared completion, they received an unexpected transmission, a message encrypted in a combination of quantum pulses and xenolinguistic patterns. The sender identified themselves as representatives from a faction within Zentrix sympathetic to Illyra's mission. Their communique contained critical intelligence about the approaching forces, including vulnerabilities in their cloaking technology and potential weaknesses in their command structure. "This changes our strategy," Illyra acknowledged, her mental voice carrying both relief and renewed determination. "With this information, we can target their leadership nodes and disrupt their coordination." She began modifying their defensive configurations, incorporating the new data while maintaining their overall security protocols. Ethan worked alongside her, implementing algorithmic adjustments that would exploit the identified weaknesses. Yet as he programmed the final sequences, a troubling thought surfaced. "What happens if we succeed?" he asked, pausing to meet her luminous gaze. "If we repel your pursuers and establish contact between our worlds, how do we ensure this doesn't happen again? How do we build lasting peace?" Illyra's expression softened, her iridescent features reflecting the weight of his question. "Change begins with understanding," she projected gently. "By surviving this trial together, by demonstrating that cooperation yields greater strength than conflict, we create a foundation for future relations. But it requires more than victory. It demands commitment to ongoing dialogue and mutual growth." The truth of her words resonated deeply within Ethan. Their current preparations, while crucial, represented only the beginning of a much larger journey. Success would bring not resolution but responsibility, the obligation to nurture the fragile connection they were forging between worlds. As he returned to his tasks, he felt a renewed sense of purpose, understanding that their efforts transcended immediate survival. Night fell, casting long shadows across the observatory floor. Outside, the city slept unaware, while within the ancient structure, two beings prepared to defend a possibility, a chance for understanding between species separated by light years but united by shared aspirations. The equipment hummed with readiness, the stars aligned in silent witness, and the air crackled with anticipation. Ethan and Illyra stood,